Good morning and welcome to Decker's Nursery. My name is Conrad Decker. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. We just had a much needed rainfall. Today I'm going to talk about roses. Each year at Decker's Nursery we have to order our roses the season of the fall before they arrive. They come to us in April, and we work with a grower called Weeks Roses. They've been very reliable, very dependable. They have a great selection. And roses, the popularity of roses has changed a lot over the past couple of decades. Where at one point a lot of people used the hybrid teas, the Floribundas, and the grandiflora roses. One of the most popular rose in the landscape at this point is the knockout rose, and almost everyone is familiar with the knockout rose. It's synonymous with rose when people are talking about their landscapes. It's very common. There are a lot of attributes with the knockout rose. Some of those attributes are that they are disease resistant. They do not get the fungus that most people associate with roses. Um, and let me change that a little bit. It's not that they don't get the disease; they don't get it at levels that will compromise the plant. So nothing is 100% resistant to disease, but you can be assured that if in a bad season, if conditions are favorable, the disease will not kill or disfigure the knockout roses. Okay, so that's one of the strengths or the attributes of the knockout rose. It's one of the reasons that people use them very often in their landscape. And if you like roses, I encourage you to use the knockout roses. There's no reason not to. They do grow large, and very often I see the biggest problem with knockouts is they outgrow the space that they've been allotted. So they will get 4 to even 5 feet high if you let them. The nice thing about knockout roses is you can prune them, and you can prune them in the dormant season, December through early March, to contain their size. And that will often keep them in a manageable size in your landscape so that they can remain an asset. Um, the one new release that I wanted to share with you today is there's a new shrub rose called Oh So Easy. And the Oh So Easy is a compact version of the knockout rose. So you can see I'm getting a little bolting here, has a nice bud on top, so it's going to flower. The roses are similar size, a little bit smaller than the knockout, but the form, this will not grow much more than 3, maybe 4 feet. That's at its max height. If you have mature knockout roses, you know that they can very quickly outgrow that 4 foot range. So the Oh So Easy is gaining in popularity, where the knockout rose has like 4, maybe 5 different varieties and colors. The Oh So Easy is continuing to have new colors. They have yellows, oranges, whites, pinks, and a real nice selection to choose from with the Oh So Easy. And we try to make sure that we have all of them in stock here at the nursery. The Oh So Easy and the Knockout Rose are considered shrub roses, and they are hardy to pruning. So where I'm going with this, they do not flower all year, right? So they usually start to bloom around Memorial Day, and they'll go through cycles. Like right now, this is the first flush of flowers on the knockout roses. So they were a little late coming on this year because it was very cool spring. So these are going to continue to bud for probably another 3-4 weeks. Then we're going to get into the heat of summer, and there will be a lapse in flowering for the knockout roses. Um, that is a time when you can prune them back. I've seen a lot of people prune their roses at that time to contain them. What you want to be aware of, though, is that will often stunt that next flush of flowers that you're looking forward to in the fall. So yes, you can do the pruning in the summer months to contain the size of the knockout roses. I prefer not to do it. I let them run their cycle so that I can have more roses, because that's why we're using them, to enjoy them. One of the things I noticed this morning is the knockouts actually have a very nice fragrance. As I brought it out to prepare the presentation, I noticed that they have a nice scent, and I never noticed that before on the knockouts. And maybe it's from the rain or where we are today, but the knockouts do have a nice scent to them. Okay, so with the shrub roses, we're going to talk about a little bit more on the pruning side of them, right? If you have something that's out of place. So whenever you are pruning roses, the one primary objective is to open up the canopy so that you get better air circulation, okay? The more air circulation you have, the less disease activity you will have, okay? So on this rose, and it's very, I'm just going to do a little bit here today to kind of show you some really simple basics on pruning. Pruning takes a lot of time, and hopefully we'll have more time in the future to discuss pruning in more depth. But when I'm pruning a knockout rose, my primary objective is to wear gloves so that I do not get hurt, and to open up the center of the shrub. Now, I really do not want to be cutting off a lot of flowers at this time, and so this is for display purposes, just so that you can see where I'm going with the pruning, and to make sure that that's consistent across the whole shrub. If you have any dead branches in the roses, this is a good, it's always good to prune dead branches out of a plant, whether it be a shrub or tree or whatever it is. So you're never going to do any harm by pruning a dead branch out. So right now I want to leave the rest of this canopy because that's where the roses are that are coming on. I've removed some of the dead flower, the spent flowers, the deadheads, that will encourage the adjacent branching to form more buds. And hopefully you can see a little bit of a difference on here. One more cut, and now I have some flowers to put in my bud vase inside. So that's a little bit on pruning for the shrub roses. You can use head shears on shrub roses, and a lot of people do. What we do, if we're pruning for a customer, we'll use the shrub roses to get the height that we're looking for, and then we will go in with hand pruners and try to open up the center more to set them up for the coming year's growth. Okay, a couple other things on roses that we want to talk about is overhead watering and how to care for it. So right now I'm going to work with some of the hybrid tea roses. This is one of the hybrid teas that I can't remember the name. This is Perfume Delight, and I'm sure that has a beautiful fragrance as well. You can see how the structure is much more upright on this. The stems are thicker than the shrub roses, and this is getting ready to push out some more roses. So I'm not going to do any pruning on this at this time. This is ready to go into anyone's garden and perform really well. It is clear of any diseases. So if you were coming to a garden center, any garden center, to purchase a rose, the things you would want to be looking for are that the leaves are clean, free of lesions, free of fungal activity. You want to make sure that there aren't any insects on the tips. So The primary pests on roses are aphids, and they do get some Japanese beetle will chew on the leaves later in the summer months. And we'll talk a little bit about how to care for them. The other thing you want to look for when you're purchasing a rose is how it comes out of the pot. So, like, this is a perfect specimen because all of the roots come out together. It means that it has developed a really nice, healthy root system. And that's what we look for when roses arrive at our store. We're trying to make sure that the health of that plant is in good condition so we can make it available to our customers. And you want to make sure that there's a strong, sturdy root system there. If this just pulls out very easily and you have a lot of soil left in the pot and just a little bit of root system, that's something you want to walk away from. That's not a good rose to purchase. And that would go with the knockout roses too. Sometimes growers put these products out before they're ready in order to either meet the demands or they're not aware that the condition isn't quite ready. So, as a consumer, you want to make sure that you're buying a really good quality rose. And we've never had any problems with weak roses, but weeks roses. So we talked a little bit about some of the problems that roses get. You can eliminate almost all disease activity on roses just by watering properly. If you have any irrigation that's hitting your roses, it is absolutely going to facilitate fungal activity. Now, you can treat for diseases, and there are fungicides that are effective at doing that, but the best way to prevent diseases is not to overhead water. You can use drip irrigation is ideal, and when you run your drip irrigation, you should run that for an extended period so that the water gets down and actually soaks the entire root system. So very often I hear people running their irrigation system for 20, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. You should be running that for a couple of hours, more than likely, to get enough water that saturates the root system. And you should do that probably 2, maybe 3 times a week through the summer months. In the spring and fall, definitely cut it back to once or twice a week for watering. Once roses get established, they do not need regular watering. You would water in the times when we're not getting rainfall. Okay, that's the purpose, that's the benefit of using an irrigation system. With the disease activity, try to reduce your disease activity by watering properly. If you have questions, we'll help you at the store with that. If you feel you need to treat for fungus, the best organic approach is a copper fungicide. We always have this available. Copper fungicide has to be applied more often than a conventional fungicide. But if you're really trying to do things environmentally responsibly, use the organic, use the copper fungicide, and apply that every 7 to 10 days. And that will keep the level of disease activity at a point where it doesn't hurt the shrub. So we've talked a little bit about shrub roses, talked a little bit about hybrid tea roses. Some of the other roses are the Floribunda and the Grandiflora roses. So these are also show roses. The flowers are not quite as large as on the hybrid teas. But they are performers, or they'll give you really nice cutting flowers throughout the season as well. The other type of rose that has become very popular at Decker's Nursery is the climbing rose. And this one is called Blaze. And you can pretty much see the climbing roses. There's usually one stem that bolts on that. And so this is a rose that you would plant at the base of a trellis or the base of a wall where you can train it to climb up. I find it interesting. A lot of people don't realize it takes several years for a climbing rose to establish itself. Like, it is not going to cover a trellis in one season. They do have the ability to grow 3 to 5 feet a year, to extend up the trellis or whatever you're training it on. But you know, it's going to take several years for it to really achieve the effect that you're envisioning or that you might see in a magazine. But you need to start to get to that point. So climbing roses are a lot of fun. They teach you how to be patient, and you know, if anybody's trying to achieve that effect, it's very important that you have a lot of sun on all your roses. They require full sun, which is, you know, a minimum of 6 hours per day. And that would go for the shrub roses as well as any of the show roses, I call them. So climbing roses would be maintained very similar to the hybrid tea roses and the floribunda roses. We'll do some more discussions later in the fall how to prepare your roses for winter. But at this time of the year, if you're looking for a plant that provides very fragrant flowers, nice showy flower, something you can cut and take into your house, I would encourage you to take a look at some of the roses. Do not be intimidated by them. They are not difficult to grow. They need the same basic care that all of the plants need, with proper watering, fertility, and you'll be successful. One of the things I didn't talk about yet today, and I want to encourage you, if you haven't done so, it's very important to fertilize your roses. We carry a lot of the organic Espoma product lines. They have a fertilizer that's specific for roses. It's called Rose Tone, so that's always available at the store. If you haven't fertilized your roses yet this year, come on in to Decker's this weekend or sometime in the near future, and we'll guide you on how much you need and how to apply it. It's very easy, and it makes a big difference in how your flowers are going to perform and bloom. So hopefully I've given you a little bit of information that's going to inspire you to try some of these new plants, and I hope you have a better understanding of shrub roses versus some of the show roses. If you need more assistance on this, we are open every day. I encourage you to come in. The staff or myself would be more than willing to help you with that. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you in the garden. Have a good day.